Welcome, everyone, to this EPP Group talk on the new European Bauhaus here in the European Parliament. And joining us to talk about that is Željana Zovko. And Željana, welcome. You're a Croatian MEP, and you are a co-rapporteur, co-author of this report here in the European Parliament on the new European Bauhaus that has been approved. And it's exciting to see this idea, this concept of Bauhaus. And if anybody remembers it, they think of the architecture and the design of the 1920s, 30s, and it did continue throughout. But now it's more than that, right? There's, in fact, in your report, you talk about how the new European Bauhaus is the soul of the Green Deal, of the green transition. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy today to be talking about the new European Bauhaus report that was voted today in the plenary overwhelmingly, and thanks to all the efforts from the rapporteurs as well. And from the different committees that were working jointly on this report, I must say that this soul of Green Deal that we are trying to put into real life is a project, and it's a concept that was not very much clear to many of us when President of European Commission presented it in her first speech.
So you've helped to clarify it. It is more than art, and it's more than design, more than architecture. It's also science. It's also art in helping to reshape the way we live and work.
It's in my view, how I lived it and how I understood it, and that's why I joined also the group of friends to New European Bauhaus even before this report, and the report came on our initiative. It is architecture of happiness for all the European citizens. Mm-hmm. And it's the architecture how we want to live in the future in European Union of the healthy and ecologically acceptable environment, and also environment in which will thrive every citizen, that will not be a privilege of only the rich, but for all the classes. And by this new concept, we will try to remodel and reshape all these big dormitories that we are seeing, all these ghettos that we are having in big towns, all these post-Soviet constructions and the buildings that are making people miserable and in their moods, and also to make distant islands and the villages more approachable and pleasant for living. We know today that the digital nomads, due to the pandemic, are choosing to spend their life and to work in remote places. And by this new European Bauhaus, we want also to make their living and the thriving for their families
I think there's an important point that you made in the amendments that you added to this report, is that you want new European Bauhaus to address not only cities, but also rural areas.
But
everywhere.
That's the most important thing. I mean, I'm from European People's Party, and People's Party mainly is turned to preserve also the villages, to preserve rural areas, to preserve lives in the island, and why not to stress out to preserve our cultural and natural heritage to be respected when we are reshaping and redesigning our environment and our living space in the future.
So how is that different then with Bauhaus, with New European Bauhaus? How would you build differently?
How will we build differently? It depends on the architects that are now engaged in bringing us this new vision. So we have different networks of the architects who are competing, who are already making networks between universities. So the southern countries from the south have different approach and different vision for this, how this should develop and in which direction it should go. grow in that part from the countries from the north. And all this should be taken into consideration. This is Europe, and Europe has to take into consideration all the diversity. But for me, what is the most important amendment that I am proud of, and my contribution to this is a safety element.
There you go.
Yeah, because Croatia during the pandemic has gone through two really tragic episodes, like apart from the fact that it's a country that went through the war, went through the reconstructions, and then we became joined the European Union, and then it came pandemic. And just when the pandemic started, we had to face this terrible situation where people were closed in their houses. Right. We endured two big earthquakes when our capital was greatly damaged, that had this historical center, historical heritage, and also rural area, Banovina, that has endured terrible earthquake. Right. So this safety element is crucial in reconstruction, in redesign, and in the future to have it secure for the citizens. And also the element of safety and prevention, because all the south has endured big fires, and we want to have these areas like southern countries to be protected and to have constructions in the future and an environment built in spirit of prevention.
And that goes not only for EU members, but other countries that we are working with to develop, like in the Western Balkans, right?
And this is something that we are very proud of, to include also Western Balkan, because European Union is also relies on the enlargement. I mean, the big project is for us is the enlargement, and the future countries that will join European Union should already start to rebuild and to construct in a spirit that European Union member states are building.
So it's interesting that this NEB, or a new European Bauhaus, can actually set standards. Right? You will have a label that sets standards for construction. Right?
Yes, this is the label. This is something that we are advocating, that is gone into documents as well, and it will be a label of New European Bauhaus. And this label will be really like a World Heritage Site, so that it will be something that is being constructed and prepared in a spirit of New European Bauhaus.
Yeah, because when I think of Bauhaus, I think of Le Corbusier, I think of Mies van der Rohe, I think of these amazing designers and architects who really did think it out. And I think that's what you're saying. People should really think out what they want to build,
and this is
in the right way, in a human way.
Yes, and we want architects to compete in beauty, because this new Bauhaus, it's about beauty, it's about aesthetics, and it's about health and safety. So we want a future architect, when they are thinking about constructing, and the investors and thinking about building, and all the local authorities, in their mind, it should be the beauty of the architectures. I mean, for our Italian and Spanish friends and Croatian friends, that comes naturally, because we have for centuries been
absolutely
we included that in the constructions. But now we want all the Europe to have the same spirit.
Now, you mentioned investors, the money. You got this plan. You've got this. You're building this standard. But I think the next step is getting the money for it, right?
Yes. Now, at this moment, we are having this combined instrument that are going to finance a new European Bauhaus, and it's by our pressure that is being the budget is being increased. But what we are advocating really is to have a one line that will be specifically defined for new European Bauhaus, and especially for this new European Bauhaus label, that it will in future define the projects that will be built. So I'm very optimistic about that. As I said already, in the last legislature, I worked on civil protection mechanism, and in the beginning it was something that was taken with skepticism, but now this is a mechanism that really helped us through the pandemics, and it's helping us even to help our Ukrainian friends and with the aid and everything. And it's something that I think that will be taken as well from the side of European Commission, and this budget line will be defined, will be increased, and in the future will this baby and the spirit of a Green Deal will be put in practice, but without being really backed by the financement, right financing. We cannot expect that.
That is the key.
Yes.
That's the key. Željana Zovko, I think we've covered everything. Unless you have anything else to add, I think that's it.
I'm just happy that we are part of the history. This is for now on. This idea has been brought into the paper, and it's being taken on by many of the artists, many of the architects, and all the countries. We have national coordinators for new European Bauhaus, and in the future, when we, I just expect that all the citizens, wherever they live, will really enjoy all in their living areas, living space and working space with more open spirit and with more happiness, and not to wait only for the holidays to breathe. So this is something that we want from this new European Bauhaus.
Great. Željana, thank you very much. Željana Zovko of the EPP Group. Thanks very much for watching this EPP Group talk here in the European Parliament. If you're interested in any more information on that, it's eppgroup.eu. Check out the website. I'm Chris Burns. Thanks for watching.